everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am talking about the books I've acquired over the past couple of months, just through either authors sending me their own books to review or from my local used bookstores, etc. So I have a lot of books to go over, so we're just going to get right into it. First, I'm going to talk about a couple of self-published books that were so kindly sent to me by the authors in exchange for a review. So the first one I have to talk about is Dreams of the Dying by Nicholas Lietzau, I think is how you say it. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. This one is stunning. It was pitched as this fantasy book that had a lot of horror elements in it, which is something that I'm really interested in exploring more, especially after really enjoying City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett, which was definitely a fantasy book, but had these horror elements in it that I loved. And this book has the most stunning cover. I mean, just look at that art. And then if you take off the dust jacket, it actually has the art printed on the book itself as well, which I think is stunning. This is a beautiful book. It says, years after a harrowing war experience, ex-mercenary Jesper Delverick was taken to drifting. It's a lonely existence, but barring the occasional bout of melancholia, he has found the closest thing to peace a man like him deserves. Life is all right. Or so he tells himself. Hoping to turn the page, Jesper accepts a mysterious invitation into the beautiful but dangerous archipelago of Calais, and everything changes. Plagued by boiling social tensions and terrorism, the tropical empire is edging ever closer to civil war. Calais' merchant king may be the only one to prevent this catastrophe, but he has fallen into a preternatural coma, and it's Jesper's job to figure out who or what caused it. As the investigation takes him across the archipelago and into the king's nightmares, unexpected events not only tie Jesper's own life to the mystery, but also unearth inner demons he believed to be long exorcised. Battling old trauma while fighting for his life, his sanity, and the fate of Calais, the line between dream and reality blurs further and further until only one question remains. If your mind is the enemy, where do you run? I just think this sounds fantastic, and I know that Petrik over at Petrik Leo, I will link his channel down below because he's fantastic. If you haven't checked out his fantasy reviews, you have to go do so because I feel like he's read every single fantasy book ever. But he also recently acquired this and reviewed it and said it was one of the best self-published books he's ever read. He gave it the most amazing review, and it made me so excited, even more excited than I already was to pick it up. So thank you so much, Nicholas, for sending this book to me. I can't wait to read it. The next book I was sent so kindly by the author is Nine of Swords by Brooklyn Quintana. So this one is a massive fantasy debut, but it has another stunning cover. I am so impressed with how beautiful these covers are. Oh my goodness. This one also sounded like this high fantasy adventure. So it says, welcome to the Morancy Academy of Military Arts. As one of our students, we expect that you will fight till the end and win by any means necessary. Now that you're here, there are a few things you should be made aware of. Firstly, be mindful of the water's edge. The mermaids are not always to be trusted, and the dolphins are quite unreliable. Second, try not to get lost in the catacombs. Should you wander too far, your safety cannot be guaranteed. And remember, be wary of the jungle. The trees like to rearrange themselves. And do steer clear of the vines, lest you not return from your adventure intact or even alive. We hope to see you at the end of your games, should you make it that far. So fun. I think this sounds like it is in a really cool setting. I love this whole game aspect. This is an advanced reader copy that I'll be reading. The actual book, I will make sure to put the release date right here for you to see and check out. I am so excited for this one. I will make sure to link the information for where to buy it if you are interested in pre-ordering it down below. And then the last book that I have that was sent to me by the author was The Thunder Heist by Hearn. So this is the first book in a new fantasy series called The Twisted Seas. And Hearn actually has a whole backlist of books that I'm also very interested in reading, especially if I really enjoy this one. So this says, a relentless thief, an impossible heist. Meet Kef Cutmark, pirate, monster slayer, scourge of the twisted seas. After a lifetime of running from her past, she's returned to Zorith, a tangled jungle of 1,000 boats, all lashed together to make a floating city ship. How cool. Zorith is powered by a device that draws energy from lightning. Mysterious, unique, and locked in an unbreachable tower, it's the envy of Zorith's rivals. And Kef, she's here to steal it. If she can take the device and cripple Zorith, maybe she'll find justice for all the hurt the city has caused her. But with an unreliable, thieving crew, hunters closing in, and her past bearing down upon her, failure looks more likely. And if she fails, she'll never find peace again. I think this sounds like a blast. It sounds like it's going to have this really fun main character, and the setting sounds so unique. I just love how unique all of these stories seem. So I'm really excited to be checking this one out and hopefully loving it. The next two books I have were so kindly gifted to me by amazing subscribers. So the first one I have is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed, which was gifted to me so generously by Charmaine. Thank you so much, Charmaine, for sending this to me. I've actually already read it, and I will link my wrap-up video down below where I discuss my thoughts in detail. I thought this was a very good book. I definitely recommend it to anyone who loves a very character-driven story. For example, if you really enjoyed Little Fires Everywhere, I feel like this one gave me similar vibes, so I think that you would really enjoy this one as well. I really liked it. I'm super glad I read it, so thank you again, Charmaine, for sending it to me. That was so nice of you. And then the next book that was sent to me so kindly was sent to me by James. Thank you so much, James. That was so nice, and he sent me Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron, which is actually the April buddy read for Elle and I. So I'm really excited to be reading this next month. I've heard great things. I've heard it's very witchy type fantasy. I believe it follows this girl who is born into a family of witch doctors, but she doesn't have like the same abilities as the rest of her family, and so she's trying to kind of make a deal with like a devil type character to get these abilities, I think. So I'm really excited. I think it sounds fantastic. And if you'd like to join Elle and I, we're reading this one next month. Thank you again, James, so much. I'm so excited. All right, and then the rest of the books I have, I either got from just like local used bookstores or Barnes & Noble. The first one is Ruth Ware's The Death of Mrs. Westaway. So I've read The Woman in Cabin 10 and The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and I thought both of them were pretty good. The Turn of the Key had so much potential, but I just really didn't like the twist at the end. I've heard that the atmosphere in this book is very gothic, very creepy. I really like that kind of haunted atmosphere, so I feel like I'll really enjoy this one because I really liked the atmosphere that she set up in Turn of the Key. I had a lot of fun reading that one, so I'm hoping I really enjoy this one as well. I also got The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, which I've heard so many mixed reviews on. People either love this book or absolutely hate this book. I really haven't seen anyone in between. I know that Kaylani from Kaylani SimplyMe, whose channel I will link down below, I know that she really didn't like this book, and I know that it has to do with kind of how it ends. I think it's a little more of an open ending that's up for interpretation, which I can see either being very frustrating or being very like fascinating to kind of theorize depending on how it's done. I know that it's about this family who is renting out this cabin in the middle of the woods, and these random people all of a sudden show up to their cabin and basically tell them that the apocalypse is coming and they have to prepare for it. And I don't know what happens from there, but it sounds terrifying. So I'm excited. I'm hoping that I end up really, really liking this one, but I am very, very skeptical. The next book I have is All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda, which I haven't heard many people talk about, if anyone. I don't think I've heard anyone talk about this book, but I don't know how I found Megan Miranda's books, but I've been wanting to check them out, and I thought this one sounded so interesting. It's a thriller that is actually told backwards, which I think is really cool. It follows this woman who I believe has kind of grown up and made this successful life for herself. But in her childhood, one of her best friends had gone missing, and I believe that case was never really solved. And now, like, people are starting to go missing again. It's kind of one of those types of thrillers. But the fact that it's told backwards really had me intrigued. And I want to see how that's done. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Memento, but that is a movie that is told, basically you start with the ending and you work your way to the beginning throughout the movie. I think it was such a good movie. I love Memento. So I'm kind of curious to see how this one is executed. And the next book I got was A Nearly Normal Family by M.T. Edwardson. So you'll notice that I got a lot of like horror thriller books when I was at my bookstore, just because I didn't have many left to read on my shelves, and I love picking up a thriller every now and then. And this one I've actually already read, and I just read it this month, so I'm gonna wait to give my full thoughts in my wrap-up later this month. But spoiler alert, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to talk about it. It is a legal thriller that follows this family where the daughter of the family has been accused of a murder, and so you're kind of following this court case and trying to figure out, kind of in a backwards style, what really happened with this murder and who may really be behind it. And it was very good. So I'm excited to share my thoughts on this one. The next book I have, and I've also already read this one. I'm getting through my thrillers real quick. I really like them. The Chain by Adrienne Mckinty. I talked about this one in my latest wrap-up as well, the same one where I talked about Such a Fun Age. So again, if you want to check out more thoughts, that video is linked down below. This was wild. I really enjoyed this one. This was very good. It is about a mother whose daughter gets kidnapped, and you find out that in order for her to get her daughter back, she has to kidnap another child because her daughter's kidnappers, their child had been kidnapped. So that's the chain, and it's such a wild ride. I really enjoyed this one. Had a lot of fun. And then the last thriller book that I got, or I guess horror book, is The Troop by Nick Cutter, which I've seen so many people absolutely love this book in the community. I know Jade from Bedtime Bookworm really enjoyed this book, so I'm really excited to get to it. I've heard it's really gross. Like, I've heard the horror is definitely body horror specifically, which I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that. I get really grossed out very easily, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm also very excited because I've just heard that the story itself is also fantastic. So crossing fingers, I end up enjoying this one as much as everyone else. I also have more of a sci-fi thriller, I believe, and it is 14 by Peter Clines, which I've heard really good things by Peter Clines. And I'm not gonna lie, the blurbs on this book are what hooked me. It says, a riveting apocalyptic mystery in the style of Lost. I'm a sucker for anything that gets compared to Lost because I really loved that show. The ending, you know, we can discuss, but I really like Lost. Someone said, picture Lost in an apartment building with a cast of ordinary people, some comedy, plenty of charm, and the stakes being the end of the world, and you'd come close to capturing what makes 14 tick. I'm sold. Say no more. So I'm really excited to get to this one and see why it is being compared to Lost. The next 3 books I have are all nonfiction books that I actually was able to get through my job. So the first one I've already read and talked about in my most recent wrap-up again, which is again linked down below. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear, which I absolutely loved. I tabbed this so much. this one for me was life-changing. I think it had information that I just personally hadn't thought of in a certain way, or was new information or tips and tricks to try in your everyday life for me. I thought this book was very actionable. Everything in it was something that was very reasonable for you to try in your own life. So I loved it. It definitely gave me the value that I was looking for, so highly recommend it. The next one I've also already read, and I will talk about in this month's wrap up because I just finished it yesterday, and that is Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. This is a must read for everyone. It is really eye-opening. It's actually quite terrifying. It talks about how technology has changed our lives and society and our behaviors, and is it good, is it bad? It's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. So I'm really excited to share deeper thoughts on this one. And then the last one is like a classic, I feel like, self-help book that I have just never read. I can't believe I've never read this. And it is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I've heard that this is like the kind of the quintessential nonfiction self-help book. So we'll see if I end up really, really enjoying this one. But both of the nonfictions that I was able to get were really, really helpful to me. So hoping that the trend continues. All right, we're almost done. I also picked up City of Blades and City of Miracles by Robert Jackson Bennett after finishing City of Stairs. I loved City of Stairs. I thought it was fantastic. The fantasy world was so unique. I love the world building. I love the gods, love the characters. I'm so excited to continue on with this series, and I thought these covers were so pretty. I really like these more than the US covers. So yay, I'm glad I can just hopefully get to these very soon and finish out this trilogy. I also was able to get Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crowe by Jessica Townsend, which I've heard is like so popular among people who love middle grade stories, and I've been wanting to check out some more middle grade stories, and I don't think I've heard one negative thing about Nevermore. So I feel like this is a really good one to read if I'm looking to get more into middle grade, and I'm hoping I really enjoy it. And then I'm also really excited about these next books that I got because they're books that I already owned, but I noticed that the Bookish Shop, which I will link down below, was selling these exclusive dust jackets for the Raven Cycle series, which I love. The Raven Cycle series by Maggie Stiefvater. It's one of my favorites. So when I saw these exclusive dust jackets, I was like, oh my God, I have to get them. Here is what the spines look like all together. And then here is each individual cover. So here's the first book, The Raven Boys. And I'll show you, oh, man, I love the backs. So pretty. I just think that these covers fit the story so well. Here is The Dream Thieves. I think that is so stunning. Look at that, their magic, their quest, fullness and strangeness. Oh, so pretty. I also was never a huge fan of the original covers. So when I saw these alternate covers, I was like, oh, thank God. Because I really like these, and I just was never a fan of the originals. So there's Blue Lily. Oh, I love that back. Look at that back. Do you understand? If they die, I die too. It's so pretty. Here's the last one, The Raven King. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan. The head is too wise, the heart is all fire. I love those quotes, they're so pretty. So I'm really excited about having those dust jackets now. Again, I think they're still available from the Bookish Shop. I will link that shop down below if you want to go grab them before they sell out, because I was so glad I found them. And then lastly, I collect the Barnes & Noble collectible editions. So whenever I get a gift card for any reason, whether it's Christmas or my birthday, to Barnes & Noble, I always get a collectible edition with that. So I was able to pick up a Madeline Treasury, which Madeline was one of my favorite stories growing up as a child, and I always had this Madeline doll that I brought everywhere with me. I loved Madeline so much. So I was thinking that this would be such a good one to have to read to my daughter when she is born, and have Madeline a part of her life like it was a part of mine. So I love this edition. I think it's stunning. And of course, it's all illustrated throughout. So I'm just so excited to have this. I also picked up The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is the brand new edition of this book from Barnes & Noble, and I loved it so much. I thought it was stunning. And I also just really love The Great Gatsby as a story. So I also grabbed The Little Mermaid and Other Fairy Tales by Hans Christian Andersen. So I have a couple of fairy tale collections, but I didn't have any from Hans Christian Andersen. And I thought that this would also be a good one to have kind of in the future for a daughter. So I definitely have been wanting to read some of these more classic fairy tales. And I've heard that the Little Mermaid story is actually quite dark and quite sad and depressing. So I'm a little nervous to read it myself, but I thought this edition was so stunning. And then a couple of children's books that I got, again, to kind of read for my daughter whenever she's born. The first one being Anne of Green Gables, which I love this edition so much. I think she looks so cute. And last, I got The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, which again is just such a cute cover. I remember reading this as a kid and really enjoying it. So thought this would also be nice to add to the collection. So that is it for this book haul. Did you see any books that you've read and really loved or didn't like as much? So definitely let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know what you guys think. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!